Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Amma ba'd. Respected brothers and sisters in Islam, Alhamdulillah, we are starting our seminar on Fiqh of Zakat quite on time. And Zakat is so important that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions Zakat along with the Salat. Wherever He mentions Salat, He mentions Zakat. Waqimu salata wa atu zakat. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned it in a very special way, says that Allazina immakkannahum fil ard aqamu salata wa atawu zakat wa amaru bil ma'ruf wa nahaw anil munkar. That the believers, wherever they get the authority, if it is a good authority, they have the power or not, limited authority, but they undertake these three obligations. Aqamus Salat, they establish the system of Salat, Wa'atav Zakat, and they also give the Zakat and establish its system. And Wa Amaru bil Maruf, wa Nahaw anil Munkar. They enjoin what is good, they stop what is bad. So, Alhamdulillah, we Muslims established in North America, and we have the institution and organization, Alhamdulillah. So it is our responsibility that we should establish the system of zakat, and we should maintain it, and we should understand it. Sheikh Sh.Abdur Rahman Khan, originally from Guyana, British Guyana, as the old time. And mashallah, he has been educated and groomed in a very honorable and respectable family. I have visited his home back in Guyana, and he was, he went to Medina University, got Islamic education in Dawah, in Sharia, in Arabic. And then he came back. He was principal of GII, Guyana Islamic Institute. And he also rose to the position of the chairman of Guyana Islamic Trust. Guyana Islamic Trust is the harbinger of Islamic work, Islamic reawakening over there in that part of the world. And then he moved to North America, where he assumed different positions as Imam and director. And he is presently, mashallah, chairman of the Sharia Council of ICNA, and he is also member of Fiqh Council of North America. Fiqh Council of North America is under ISNA, Islamic Society of North America. He is also a respectable member of that prestigious organization. And now, inshallah, he is giving the seminar on Fiqh of Zakat. Over to him.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله أما بعد. My dear respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless us in these moments that we are going to be talking about one of the pillars of Islam. It's not just one aspect of Islam, but one of the fundamental pillars of Islam, zakat. So we will go through quickly. We will talk about the importance of zakat, purpose of zakat, difference between zakat and sadaqah, so that people will understand and they don't mix them up. Or they should understand what is zakat, what is sadaqah. It went blank here.
Coming back on now.
Yeah. On the screen here, it's showing that.
Assalamu alaikum.
Brother Arif, do you want to see what's going on here? Anyhow, while Brother Arif is going there, we also, it is showing on the screen, on my screen here.
Oh.
So, yes. Who is your favorite apple?
I'm apple eater.
All right, while they're doing that, we also talk about conditions of zakat, zakatable items. In other words, what are the items that you have to give zakat? The actual paying of the zakat, recipients of zakat, those who cannot or should not take zakat, and a few questions that will come up, inshallah. So the first part, yeah. Should go on the full screen or how does that? See, I have Microsoft, so I know how Microsoft works. Imam Abdul Jabbar has Apple and he doesn't know how it works. And this is his computer. This is an Apple. Maybe you bought the wrong one. Take it back and then we refund it and give you Microsoft. Okay, that's it. If once it doesn't come back.
It's not coming up on the computer. It's on the screen, but it's not on the computer.
Oh, you have to go back to.
You do Apple, right? No?
There you go.
Yeah.
You got it now.
This
You
is
got it
it.
now.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I see. I was going there.
Okay. So we good. So if you're not seeing it, please let me know because we will have to call the technician to go to the channel. So zakat, as we say, is a pillar among the pillars of Islam. And this is confirmed by the Quran, the Sunnah, Ijma. Ijma means all the scholars of the Ummah agree on that. So there is no difference of opinion on that issue. As for the Quran, there are about 30 verses, not one, not two, 30 verses. Can anybody tell me how many verses are there for fasting? One, two. Basically two. فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْهُ كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ. So basically two verses, and that is a pillar of Islam. How many for Hajj? One or two? Yes. Two verses for Hajj. وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ حِجُّ الْبَيْتِ وَالْحَجُّ وَالْعُمْرَةُ لِلَّهِ. So you find that these other pillars of Islam have one or two. Zakat and Salah combined, they have 30. Although Salat has a little more, but 30 times Allah mentioned in the Quran this combination. وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَآتُوا الزَّكَاةَ وَمَا تُقَدِّمُوا لِأَنفُسِكُم مِّنْ خَيْرٍ تَجِدُوهُ عِندَ اللَّهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ بَصِيرٌ. That be steadfast in your prayer and regular in charity, and whatever good you send forth for your souls before, you will find it with Allah. For Allah sees what you do. This is a word I want you, all of us, to keep in our mind, that Allah sees. He is, we can talk about other institutions don't see. ICNA doesn't see. Sometimes our own family don't see all of it. When we are doing the calculation, we know that Allah is seeing what we do as we calculate our zakat. From the Sunnah, the Prophet ﷺ, when he sent Mu'adh ibn Jabal to Yemen, he said that أن الله افترض عليهم صدقة في أموالهم تؤخذ من أغنيائهم وترد على فقرائهم. He gave him a long set of instructions, and then he said that Allah made it obligatory for them to pay zakat from their property. It is to be taken from the wealthy among them and given to the poor. So this is, and then we know the famous hadith of Bunya al-Islam ala khams shahadati la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadan Rasulullah wa iqam al-salat wa ita' al-zakat wa hajj al-bayt wa sawm Ramadan. That Islam is based on 5 principles. That to testify that none has the right to be worshipped but Allah, and that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is Allah's messenger, to offer prayer, to pay zakat, to perform Hajj, and to observe fast during the month of Ramadan. So Islam is built on these 5 pillars. So to keep ourselves afloat in Islam, these are the things that are necessary for us to understand and to build our faith on these principles. As for Ijma, We said all the scholars of this ummah of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah agrees that zakat is compulsory on the rich. And we know that the Sahaba agreed after the passing of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the time of Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu an, that they fought those who did not pay their zakat. They actually waged war with them. Can you imagine if we had a Khalifa today who is going to wage war with people who don't pay their zakat? They will wipe out half of this Muslim ummah. And the other half is too poor to pay. So imagine how serious it was that when they said, no more zakat, Prophet ﷺ passed away, we are not going to give any more zakat. The softest man of this ummah, Abu Bakr radiallahu an. And what he said, the famous hadith, لو منعوني إقالا أو عناقا كانوا يؤدون إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لا أقاتلنهم. If they were to reduce by a piece of a rope that they would give to the Prophet ﷺ, in another hadith, like a small camel, if they did not do that, I will fight them. If what they did in the Prophet ﷺ and they refuse to do it now, I will still fight them. So it's not a simple issue. It is what will take Islam to a higher level. Can you imagine as we go along, just think about it as we go. If this Muslim Ummah, and actually there was a study done, that if this Muslim Ummah were to give their zakat, 2.5%, and on the oil and on the natural finding, we'll come to that, and their crops and animal, there will be no poor people in the world. Forget about poor Muslim. The whole world will be good enough as what happened in the time of Umar bin Abdulaziz, rahimahullah. In his time, there was no more poor people. And so he took the zakat and started building institutions and this and that. Because you go about, everybody give their zakat. Can you imagine oil is 20% zakat? That's what you pay when you extract something from the earth after you clear expense, 20%. 20% of $2 trillion. Alas, that alone is good enough for the Ummah. One country is good enough for the Ummah. The rest of the countries are Muslim for the rest of the world. So this is the power of zakat. Okay? So as to the purpose of zakat is that zakat purifies one iman. First and foremost, it is your iman. Zakat is about how much we believe in Allah. Just as how we are fixated on 5 daily prayers a day and we don't want to miss it. Similarly, our iman is what will, that through our wealth, that it really shows who is the owner of this wealth. Our iman is going to dictate who really owns this wealth. And if we believe we own this wealth, khalas, something is wrong with the iman. If we believe that Allah gives us this wealth as an amana and see how we are going to spend it because He is all seer, all hearer, and we want to fulfill that commitment with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then zakat is what will purify that iman. It fulfills the command of Allah and a pillar of Islam. It purifies the property and clears it from the portion that does not belong to it anymore. And come to think about it, wealth of zakat is actually a test from Allah in our wealth. So He gives some people and He withdraws from some people. And He is testing for those who He gives. Are you going to take it out and give to those who it really belongs to? Will you do that? Just like He tests us in many other ways of life, He is testing us. Are we going to take out this zakat and give it to whom? It's like I give you something. I give Brother Musa. I said, Brother Musa, can you give this $100 to Brother Tariq? And I'm watching to see if Brother Musa is going to give Brother Tariq or Brother Musa will not give Brother Tariq. And if he gives it, we will say, oh, he is an honest man, right? If he doesn't give it, we have a lot of names to call Brother Musa. Correct? All right. And by the way, Brother Musa is an honest man. So. And if one fails to give the correct amount, not, you know, uh, uh, some people give some of it, but you have to give all of it to fulfill that requirement. So if you don't give the correct amount, he is obviously retaining something which does not belong to him. So when yes.
If we put some more for better correction, suppose I
we'll come to that. We'll come to questioning. So if you give more, it means you would have fulfilled the threshold. So that extra will be sadaqah, but you would have fulfilled your requirement. Yes. When he gives his zakat, he purifies his wealth from impurities, so it grows better. خُذْ مِنْ أَمْوَالِهِمْ صَدَقَةً تُطَهِّرُهُمْ وَتُزَكِّيهِمْ بِهَا. Allah says, give sadaqah, it purifies your wealth, it purifies your soul, and it increases. Zakat actually, so this is like a parasite on a tree. You clear it up, the tree gets better. We do that all the time. We do that to the tree, we do that to our home if it is getting discolored. So think about it in our soul, how discolored that soul is, or how much parasite is in that soul, how much cancerous cell is in that soul if we retain zakat. Okay. Zakat reduces the suffering of the needy and the poor of society, taking care of material needs of others so as to protect their human dignity is a fundamental of Islam. For the rich, it activates economic activity so much so the rich gets richer, the poor gets richer. Okay? This is the beauty of Islam. In zakat, the rich gets richer and the poor gets richer because the more wealth they have, the more zakat they give, the more money is in the economy. You see, what is happening now? 1% owns 90% of the world's wealth. 1% owns 90% of this world's wealth. And the other 99% owns the 9%. Subhanallah. In fact, the top 50 people, which is not even 1%, this is 0.0000001%. The top 50 people of the world owns more wealth than 80% of this world. Because when you start looking at these big names that we see on Forbes, and by the way, on Forbes, they don't show these Muslim leaders. They don't show the oil-rich country what they own. But they are not in billions or hundreds of billions. There was another report that came out that they are $1 trillion of ownership. Okay? Now, there is a difference between zakat and sadaqah, and there are some similarities. Because sometimes people think, okay, I give some money here, I give some money there. Oh, let's call it a day. Let's call that zakat. So a month after, oh, let's call that zakat. Let's see how that works. The word sadaqah is sometimes used to refer to the obligatory zakat, but there are differences. Okay? So when Allah says, خُذْ مِنْ أَمْوَالِهِمْ صَدَقَةً تُطَهِّرُهُمْ وَتُزَكِّيهِمْ بِهَا. Take sadaqah. Take the obligatory zakat. That's what it means. Take the zakat that is obligatory. So here the word sadaqah means zakat. From their wealth, in order to purify them and sanctify them with it, to allow them to grow. So here the meaning of sadaqah is zakat. Now zakat, look at the definition of zakat. It's a specific portion of wealth. Okay, it is 2.5%, which is given by way of obligation. So it's fard upon you, wajib upon you. And it is carrying out a command of Allah. And when you hear this word command of Allah, think about salah. If you fulfill that commandment, you get blessing, right? If we fulfill that commandment of Allah, a fard or a wajib, we get blessing. If we leave off, what happens? We get sin. All right? This is what that command of Allah means. A command means if you do it, you get blessing. If you leave it off, you get sin. So carrying out that obligation, the command of Allah, and is given on specific property. Gold, silver, money is also given on animals, crops, and what you call ma'adin. Ma'adin are minerals from the earth that you didn't put there. Allah puts it, you're just extracting it from that earth. You did not put it. The crop you put in labor and so forth. Animal, you put in a lot of labor to take care of animal. Your wealth, you put in a lot of work to do business, trade, whatever it is. But ma'adin, you did not do anything. Just happened, Allah chose different people, different places, different minerals, and we're extracting all kind of things. So that is that specific property. To those entitled to them, and we are coming to those with specific conditions. Whereas sadaqah, the word sadaqah means given wealth for Allah without it being made obligatory on the Sharia. So sadaqah can be given as, look at it like this, fard prayer and sunnah prayer. So zakat will be the fard, sadaqah will be the sunnah or nawafil, which you give extra, which you do extra for the sake of Allah. Zakat is enjoined in Islam on specific things like gold, silver, and so forth. And sadaqah is not obligatory on any kind of lawful wealth. Rather, it is what a person can give without any specific guideline. So when we look at the difference, we see you give, somebody comes around and you want to give some little charity here, charity there, without a niyyah of zakat. Because for zakat, you have to have niyyah, that this is my zakat. Like salah, you have to have your niyyah that this I'm praying my salah, and the niyyah is in your heart. Zakat is what Allah has enjoined on certain types of people, and it is not permissible to give it within this group. Whereas sadaqah, it may be given to those mentioned in the verse of zakat and to others. Okay, you can give sadaqah to many other places. Whoever dies and owes zakat, this is important because you need to tell your children, you need to discuss this with your family. I'll tell you one thing, my dear brothers and sisters. Somehow our culture do not allow us to talk about wealth with our family. And people die and leave their family in so much distress without discussing anything about the Islamic inheritance, what to do, what not to do. You know, one of the things I do, even when I was back in my country, those days you had very little wealth, but I always bring my children, and they were 6, 7 years old. And I tell them, you know, we have so much money and we're going to give this amount of zakat to the poor and needy. And to whatever, you know, we're going to come to that. So they know, they may not know because at that time they were small, they did not know whatever. And it was maybe a few $1,000s, but you give 2,000, few thousand Guyana dollars. And Guyana currency is 200 Guyana dollar for $1 US. So you give a few dollars there, but they were part and parcel of that tarbiyah. When they grew up, they understand what it meant to take out and calculate. So sometimes we will calculate. As they grow older, they calculate and say, you know, we have to give so much for zakat. So what I'm saying, we have to have this conversation with our family. Yeah, we might hide the amount. You okay? You don't want to share the amount, that's fine. But you let them know, I want us to understand that today I'm calculating my zakat. I have to give 2.5%. If they're adult and they have their own money, they have to calculate their money, and so forth and so on. So it is a way that, and if I die and I don't pay my zakat, make sure you take out my zakat and give it before any inheritance takes place. Okay, so one who dies and owes zakat, his heirs must pay it from his wealth before distributing the wealth. So that wealth again belongs to the poor, not to the inheritors as well. We use the word poor here. By the way, I use the word poor as a general statement, but there are 8 categories that we will come to. So don't think that just poor, because rich people, in some circumstance, a rich person can receive zakat, and we will talk about that. Zakat is also conditioned to have 1 full year, 1 full lunar year pass. And it has to have a minimum amount, which is called the nisab. Sadaqah doesn't have those conditions. Sadaqah, you don't have to. You can still be a poor person and give, like what the Sahaba they used to do. They give and give and give. And if they cannot give, they find some work, and whatever they get, as we saw in the Battle of Tabuk, Ghazwat Tabuk, how they will gather some wealth and come and give it and offer to the Prophet ﷺ, and the hypocrites would make mockery of that, and Allah addressed that in Surah Tawbah. And people give sadaqah, as we said, وَيُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ وَلَوْ كَانَ بِهِمْ خَصَاصَةٌ وَمَن يُوقَ شُحَّ نَفْسِهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. And the immigrants, that is the muhajirin, not the immigrants, the Ansar gave preference over themselves, even though they were in need of that. So when the muhajirin came to Medina, not all of them, of the Ansars, were well-to-do people. Some of them were poor, but they were so willing to part with what they have to give to the muhajirin. And Allah recognized their generosity. Okay? Even they were also in need of it. They themselves were in need of it. And whosoever is saved from his own covetousness, such are those who will be successful. Okay? And I will tell you that we know people. We know upright people who give their money in Hajj, all of it. Because you feel that some cause, there was a cause, and they give to that cause in Hajj, while in Hajj. And then by the time he came back, he found that his wallet that had the rest of his money, that was gone. Somehow somebody, let's put it a nice way, they thought that was their wallet. And so he was without any money. He was doing tawaf around the Kaaba. And somebody touched him on the shoulder. And when he looked back, he recognized the person, but you're doing tawaf, you're in. And the person opened his hand and put some money, and put 1,000 US. So he recognized that person doing tawaf al-wada. And so he thought that this brother knew about his situation. He saw him there, he gave him that $1,000, which is very weird that you will find somebody at Tawaf al-Wada with so many people who will give you, who have their $1,000 already. So when he came back to Chicago, he called that brother was in Jeddah and his father was in Chicago. So he went to the father and gave him the $1,000 that your son met me in the Kaaba and he gave me this $1,000. He said, he never told me anything. So they called him. They called the son in Jeddah. They said, did you give so-and-so $1,000 to give to me? He said, I never seen him. I didn't go for Hajj. People in Jeddah do not go for Hajj or Tawaf in Hajj time. If they go for Hajj, you go for Hajj. But he didn't go. He didn't leave Jeddah. And then they realize, I have more stories personally to tell you, but maybe some other time. Allah says, when you do this good and you give all for Allah's sake, You have no idea how it comes back to you. All you can say, as you just said, Subhanallah. What else more can you say? There's no explanation but to give shukr and praise to Allah. Okay? So people, the Sahaba, they were so much dire in need. And that's why many brothers, they always say, if you give your wealth, you will get 10 times and more. And it is true. You get 10 times and more. Sometimes the same day, the next day, a few days after, a few weeks after, you get back what you give in the way of Allah in this world. And your sawab is written for when we stand up in front of Allah on the day of judgment. And Abu Hurairah related that the Prophet ﷺ said, they said, Ya Rasulullah, ayyu sadaqati afdal, qala juhdul muqil, wabda biman ta'ud. They asked him, what is the best sadaqah you can give? He said, the man with little property, that he can afford it, but he really wants it at that time, and he has just a little. And give with those to whom you are responsible. Okay? So you have a small amount of wealth, and you still want to give out of that. That's why I say sometimes we get 10,000, we get 25,000, but we never know the man who gives $100. He gives a higher, far higher portion than the man who might have given $25,000. And with his sadaqah, sincerity, Allah give barakah to the whole wealth that is collected that night, whether at convention, whether at the masjid, whether at the program, whether at helping hand, whatever it is. You never know. The power of your sincerity is not it is not the power of the money. It is the power of the sincerity with which you give fi sabilillah. So now conditions of zakat. What are the conditions of zakat? Ownership of the wealth. You must own this wealth. You can't give your wife property. You can't give your children property. You can't give your father's property. You have, unless they ask you to help them in that calculation. So adult or child. Now, here the child, will come to the child in a moment. Can the child give zakat? Because zakat is ibadah maliyah. It is an ibadah with your wealth. Is that clear to everybody? Zakat is an ibadah that starts off with the wealth, not the person. And so therefore, the scholars agree, not agree, that all of them do not agree on that, but majority of the scholars agree that if a child has wealth that reaches zakat level, he or she can pay or must pay their zakat. Okay? Because it is an ibadah maliyah. So, and it is not attached to age. Now, some people try to dodge zakat. Dodge zakat means like you play game with zakat. So what they do, after 10 months, I will shift all this funds to my child. So I don't have it for a year. I don't have the ownership now. Then after a few months, you shift it back to you. So he doesn't have it for a year. You play a game. You play games with Allah, and Allah is the one who gave you in the first place. SubhanAllah. Where is your iman that you play this kind of game? Okay? The time is one lunar year, one lunar calendar, like Ramadan to Ramadan. Now, some people, they prefer to have Ramadan as their time when they will make their calculation. They think it's more sawab, definitely. And they also think that it's easier from one Ramadan to another Ramadan. What are the items for you to pay zakat? Your cash. Cash means whatever you have in Bitcoin, in US dollars, in the bank, in check, whatever it is that is worth the money, gold and silver, animals, merchandise, stocks. At your current day of paying your zakat, today I'm paying my zakat, stocks went up or stocks went down. Your 401k, Whatever value you take out at this time of the year. See, these are all institutions that take your wealth away from you. You choose not to take that 401k. And you choose to wait till you reach 59 and a half years old. But if you were to take it out today, then maybe out of $10,000, you get $6,000. Then pay your zakat on 6,000 because you refuse to take it out today. You want the full amount at then. So while we are waiting for 59 and a half, how many poor people you have taken away this zakat and dodge your zakat and play games with this zakat? It's like your bank account. Oh, I have it in fixed deposit. First of all, it's wrong. Not to mention it's wrong. And secondly, you choose to have it that way. You choose to put it in that account. And ma'adin we say are the minerals and the whatever you extract from the earth. So you can imagine if oil is coming out from this rich oil countries from the 70s. Only 50 years now they have oil. But what they do with their money? Touch the sky with their buildings, right? Everybody trying to yatatawaluna fil bunyan. Instead of feeding the poor, who can go and pray in Burj Tower? Oh, you pray the highest over the world. Is this what it is? Subhanallah. And the amount, the sum varies according to the item. We'll come to that. So cash, what does that cash mean? We talk about cash in the bank, cash at home, cash saved for any purpose. You can't say, I put up this amount of money for my daughter's wedding. I put up this money for my child's funds, education fund. It means you are taking out and taking the poor money along with your money and giving it, putting it somewhere in a different name. These are names we have made ourselves, how we can take money and put it there and say, there's no zakat. How can we do that? How can people do that? So if you save for any purpose, now the gold and silver you own, you take the current value. So in our times, gold and silver were $2, $2 an ounce or $2 a pennyweight. Now it's almost $6,000 for the nisab. In those days was $5, $10. So you take it at the current value. You can't say, oh, I got this when my grandmother gave me, she paid a 10 rupee. You bring 10 rupee that time and you put it now, it will be 100, 200,000 rupee, okay, or more. So you have to put at your current value. The value of shares you own is valued at the time of your zakat. So let's say I want to calculate my zakat today. And today the stocks have gone up a lot. Or the stocks have gone down. So either way, if it is up, you pay whatever is there. If it is down, you also take the loss and you pay whatever it is valued because your investment has just gone down. And we assume it is in halal stocks. Now, money you owe, money owed to you. So if I lend Brother Tariq, for example, $5,000, and I hope to get that money, and knowing that Brother Tariq has very good character, and he is going to give me back that money as has been in the past. He's taken money, then I should pay zakat on that because it is an amount that is possible for you to get back. But if I give Brother Z, whoever is Brother Z, I don't want to call anybody name here, and I know he is a tough payer back. You know when you want to get a bad friend? Lend him money. Just lend him $1,000. And there goes your friendship and what you think you know him, right? Yeah. So you lend that person money, but you are not sure you're going to get back that money. 1 year pass, 2 year pass. So in that case, you don't pay your zakat. if you barely have any thoughts of getting back that money. So you pay the zakat when you get back the money. When you actually get back that money, then you add it to your amount that you're going to pay for that year. Okay? So these are all combined. All of what we are saying here, your cash at home, your cash in the bank, your savings, what is under the pillow. Long ago, people used to put it under their bed. Now, the thief, they know it's under the bed. So you move it out from under the bed, you put it under the carpet. All of that is your wealth. It's just where you store it, right? Now we have bank. You put it in the bank. So you store wherever you have wealth store, gold, silver, shares, all of that combined, and you multiply that by 0.025. So here some math comes in. Imagine in the time of Prophet ﷺ, there was math. Don't think there was not math, because he called it rubul ushur. Ushur is 1/10, right? Rubu is quarter of 1/10, or 10%. So quarter of 10% is 2.5%. So you see, the Sahaba, they had to know that this is the full wealth, and they have to know 1/10 is so much, and quarter of 1/10 is the zakat amount that you have to give out. All right. So they had to do some math. So similarly, now all we have is a calculator. This iPhone has everything. You put in your amount, you multiply by 0.025, and you're good to go. And I'll show you the chart how it can be done easily. Now, most of you, I think, are Hanafis. Most are Hanafi madhab. So guess what? Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, he said, all gold and silver you owe, whether you wear them or you do not wear them, must be included as part of your wealth in your zakat calculation. Some people might change madhab. It's okay. But he is saying that whether you wear them or you don't, and he has dalil for that. And the others also have dalil for what you wear. So our sisters can wear gold, men can wear silver. They can wear both gold and silver. That's why, you have to pay up more on that side. So so if you wear that on a daily basis, many of the scholars, they say you don't have to pay zakat on that. But Abu Hanifa and a few other contemporary scholars, they say it is better to pay zakat. Shafi madhab, any gold that is for personal use do not need to be included as part of your wealth. So Shafi madhab says that. And the better option is to pay zakat on all jewelry. And what does that mean? It means out of every $1,000 worth of gold, all you have to give is $25 a year. Okay? All you have to give is $25 a year for every $1,000 of jewelry. So if a sister has a normal $2,000-3,000 of jewelry, all they give is $100, and you have $3,900 worth of jewelry to keep for yourself. You see, this is what wealth is. We cannot decide what wealth is and what it isn't. So we have to look at the bigger picture, that you have $4,000 worth of gold. A poor person doesn't even have a ring, because they might have, sell it for food. And we'll come to what these categories are. Especially today, after the earthquake and all of these disasters, and people being a genocide taking place, and people have to leave their homes. You leave everything behind, you have nothing. So you have $4,000 worth in gold. You cannot give $100 for your zakat to people who are dire in need of food. So this is something wrong with our way of thinking as well. So zakat, sometimes we feel holding on to, and find excuse of holding on to zakat and not wanting to pay. As our Imam Saeed mentioned that people don't know how to do their zakat. You know, you think oh, this is for my daughter's wedding. This is my first son's wedding. This is for when I die. This is not this is not how we hold on to wealth. Okay? Yes, we work hard for it, but the ultimate provider is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In 40 seconds, He can bring everything down to zero, and you will be on the receiving end. And so this is why it is important that you give. And I will tell you, brothers and sisters, you give your zakat and how Allah will protect you in a way that you cannot imagine. If you possess shares for the purpose of trading, again, we talk about shares. All right, we'll close up that. So the amount of nisab is roughly 3 ounces of gold. And so this year, 3 ounces of gold might just be around $6,000. And you can check that. You can go on the gold market, gold stock, which day you're doing your zakat, and you can see what 3 ounces of gold what amount nisab for 2023. Okay? And again, you multiply that by 0.025 or 2.5 divided by 100. But this multiplication is easy, 0.025. You multiply that as well. For example, if you have $250,000 in all your asset, what is known as wealth. Your house is not an asset to pay zakat. Your car that you use is not an asset. They only become asset if you buy and sell houses or you buy and sell cars. But for most people, you have your house, your car, no matter how expensive your house might be or your car might be. Yes.
We rent portion of our house, suppose.
So if you rent portion of your house, you pay on the rent. You pay on the rent, not on the house, not on the investment. Only if you buy and sell houses. You call that uruda tijara.
Rent accumulated the whole year. Suppose
Yes.
I pay the mortgage also.
Yes. So when you finish paying your mortgage, whatever residue comes from that, you add that to your other wealth. Yes.
But one thing, interest is haram.
Yes.
Haram. And to me, interest is worse than why. And if it is so, those who are, buying house, taking 90% loan, and paying interest, and generating income therefrom, and in a nutshell, their income may not be treated allowed. Under the circumstances, would it be, fair to pay zakat out of that rental or not?
So if you don't pay zakat, you're making another sin on your soul. So sin upon sin. So you might as well clear off one side. And you should get out of the interest. All right? So if you were to Inna Allah tayyibun la yaqbalu illa tayyiban. Allah is good and He accepts only that which is good. So the brother questioned about if zakat is from haram means, or your wealth is from haram means, if you should still pay your zakat on that. I'm sure you will also have some halal means that you have. Okay, it doesn't mean you can accumulate haram sustenance because your whole life is in no barakah from Allah. But if you don't pay your zakat, it means that you also disregard. One of the things that the people of Jannah will ask the people of Jahannam, may Allah save us from Jahannam. Ma salakakum fi saqar. What caused you to be in the hellfire? Their first answer is, we were not among people who prayed. These are kuffar who are saying that, or people who did not pray. So even the Sharia, they are still obliged to pray their salah, even though it will not be accepted. So I would say based on that, you should pay your zakat. So let's say you have $250,000 after you add all your stuff up. You multiply that 0.025, you get $6,250. Don't think how much you have to pay. Think how much remain with you good for yourself. $243,750 Allah has given you to spend on yourself halal way. So if you take that $6,000, that also becomes haram wealth for you. Not only what interest and so forth, that also becomes wealth that doesn't belong to you. So for $6,000, Allah has given you 243,000 to keep. Right? So we must not look at how much we are going to give, see how much we will get back from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there's no zakat on business asset unless these are used for what you call uruda tijara. Uruda tijara means that you are buying and selling. You have a grocery store, you have a spare parts like car parts store. All of your stocks on your shelf are called uruda tijara. And you have to have a calculation of what is the current price of all of these things. I know people back home, they employ somebody at the beginning of Ramadan to go through item by item, box by box, and calculate their zakat. Yes, I know them. They were part of the Islamic work. And all they said to me, Sheikh, we don't know how the barakah comes. The other year we have to pay so much more. And the other year we have to pay so much more. But they are, I know them personally. In fact, some of my relatives marry in their family. They're part of the Islamic work in Guyana, as Brother Dr. Jabbar said, that they are the Guyana Islamic Trust. He also may know them too. Okay? So, item by item, if you have, and you really want to pay your zakat properly, you hire somebody. Do my inventory. Or today we have computer now. Computer is, those days was no computer, program. Now I'm sure there is a lot of computer program. You can look at one a day and know that this is my stocks remaining from that. Now this is what your zakat can look like. And take a good look at this chart, because this chart can help you how to calculate your zakat. Let's say you have money in a bank. We say $50,000 in one bank account. In another bank account, you have $30,000. Okay? Cash at hand, CAH, cash at hand. Let's say at home you have a $5,000 cash at hand. In jewelry, most likely you pay for your wife jewelry. So you add that, $5,000. You have $10,000 in stocks. So your total asset will be $100,000. Your total asset, you add those lines up, you get $100,000. You owe somebody. Let's say you owe your relative, a friend, $20,000, and you have to pay them for the coming year. You take out that $20,000 because that doesn't belong to you. You have to pay back that person in the coming year. So your zakatable income will be 100,000 less 20,000, which is $80,000.
How about 401k for the pension?
Yes. So if you have 401k, you add that amount, whatever that amount is.
Total amount?
Yes, add in that total amount. Correct.
What is the total amount of money that you have to pay zakat? How much do you have to have?
About $6,000. $6,000.
6,000 or over, you have to pay zakat.
Yeah, you can check it out. It will be 5,000. Okay, 5,440 because gold price goes up. Today's value 5,440. So 80,000 is above that. Now you don't take out that 5,440. That is part, you don't take it out to say that's your threshold. No, it's part of your wealth. Okay?
Regarding the statement which you are presenting, if I take you to do any business, it is mandatory for business to oblige the IRS law to formulate balance sheet at the beginning of the year, at the end of the year. And if you look into the balance sheet, then you will get inventory not inventory, payable, receivable.
Yeah.
Altogether, the result of the working capital. Working capital at the beginning of the year, working capital at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Okay? Then the working capital which you are holding all through the year, that will be subject to zakat. And regarding this calculation, definitely you did good job. But in America and other countries, those who are running business,
Okay, we're
everybody
talking
will
about ordinary people. This is
no,
not a
no, no,
business.
excuse me. So
Yeah.
even a small business is to submit their tax return or tax year to the IRS.
Yeah.
At the time of submission of tax return, even a grocery shop required to formulate balance sheet.
Yes.
So balance sheet at the beginning of the year, balance sheet at the end of the year.
Correct.
And undoubtedly what you presented, that is good, but that is ready-made. And
Okay,
if you are
so-
interested, right, okay.
Yeah. So if you have ready-made, and we are not. I don't think we are talking about businesses here to begin with. We are talking about ordinary people. We are talking.
Excuse me, business owned by ordinary people.
No, no, no.
Business owned by the people.
Okay, okay.
Business owned by the people, right? Yeah. That is
Yes, yes.
He's talking about yearly to yearly difference, and that's a yearly income.
Yes.
But zakat is not yearly income.
no, excuse
It
me.
is the savings.
You are, I, not only yearly income
Okay,
is one,
okay. Let's go.
that
We
is
have a
balance
lot
sheet the
of-
other thing.
No, we are not going to entertain too much question. If it's a quick thing, we can go.
Just to supplement. What
Yes.
you presented, that
Yeah,
is something.
so,
Okay,
so business is a different.
No.
Business law in America is a totally because we are doing on savings, okay, and your current inventory, your current inventory. So let's say this is an ordinary man, ordinary person, a household person. He works his job. He 8 to 4, whatever it is. So now he reaches a zakatable income of $80,000. And the threshold, it means if you have more than $5,440, you have to pay zakat. So this is way a lot. So you multiply that by 0.025, all you get is $2,000 for zakat that you have to give. Okay, let's say because of the Turkish earthquake and Syrian earthquake, you already give some money. You already gave $500 to a relief organization as your zakat because it's needed right now. Okay, you can deduct that. So all when time for your full payment, let's say Ramadan, all you have to give is $1,500. You see how simple it is? It's very simple. This here is a formula that will be very simple for people who might have one bank account or two bank accounts, and they have some little wealth here. You add it all together, you multiply by 0.025. If you already give some zakat, you deduct that and you give the remaining. And you would have fulfilled. Yes, Mazban.
So the thing you mentioned $500, it's also, you can deduct that. If someone has a needy family, they must be think for their grocery. So I can give throughout the year,
Yes.
divided zakat to them.
To them, correct. Because if you give them all one time, they blow it. And we know that. That's why we have zakat on a monthly basis. If you give them all in Ramadan, guess what? By Shawwal, they come knocking on your door. You said, I give you all. So you starve for the next 11 months. No, so we have to regulate it in such a way that you take it out from your responsibility. You know you have to give. But you have to spread it out if it is in the best interest of the recipient. Now, zakat on crops, I don't know how many people have crops. I'll go it quickly. If you depend on rainfall only, if you depend on rainfall, yeah, but like back home, if anybody has land back home and is cultivated, just to give a rough idea, because I will not go into animals and so, just here, 10% if you depend on rainfall after you take out your expenses, 10%, and that also has a nisab, okay? That also has a nisab that you pay on your, if you pay for irrigation, then it's 5% on the day of your harvesting. So if you harvest 3 crops a year, or 2 crops a year, or 1 crop a year, you pay at the day of harvesting. Now, paying zakat, it should be paid as soon as the full Hijri year has reached. Many people use the month of Ramadan for paying the zakat because it's convenient for them from one Ramadan to another Ramadan. Zakat can be paid in advance before the year is up. This is the opinion of scholars such as Imam Shafi and so forth. And there are times when disaster happened, let's say in Rajab, like what happened in this year. And the money is critically needed by then. You can't tell people, oh, wait till Ramadan. Half of them will die by that time, okay? So let's say your zakat is due in Ramadan. It is permissible to pay in advance. You can pay all in advance. So when Ramadan comes, you would have, why? Because the need is so desperate. And I'm sure during the Turkish-Syrian earthquake, it was so desperate that I'm sure people might have given all their zakat before this Ramadan comes. If one gives the poor all the money in the month of Ramadan and they fear, this is that high question, and they fear that they might overspend them out of maslahah, out of the benefit for the poor, he can give them in portions or installments. Yeah. Now remember, it is the maslahah of the poor that is the overriding factor here. So you don't want them to keep asking you after 2 months. You have to. Now, who are the recipients of zakat? And this is very important. The recipient of zakat. Who can receive zakat? Now, some of the recipients of zakat may be eligible to give zakat themselves. This is important. Some of the people who Allah has given in the Quran as recipient of zakat money themselves can give zakat. So we are coming to that. But they may fall into the categories of receiving the wealth of the zakat. Now, this is important. Sometimes, especially in our meetings, we hear emotional speeches that zakat is orphans' wealth, right? Masba, you heard that many times. We heard that zakat is orphans' wealth. Well, guess what? If the orphan is poor, he will receive that zakat. If the orphan is rich, because some orphan can get $1 billion in wealth, he has to pay zakat. So it's not orphan's wealth. If the orphan is poor, he falls under the category of poor. Right. So we don't identify orphan's wealth. That's not a good measurement to say, oh, this is mal al-yatim. It's not mal al-yatim. It's mal of 8 categories. And we cannot limit what Allah has given in 8 categories. If we limit it, then it means we are playing with some emotion and playing with Allah Sharia here. So we have to be careful. Maybe next time we hear mal al-yatim, we have to correct them, because yatim or orphans can very well pay if they inherit lots of wealth from their parents. And so the 8 categories are here. إنما الصدقات للفقراء والمساكين والعاملين عليها والمؤلفة قلوبهم وفي الرقاب والغامرين وفي سبيل الله وابن السبيل فريضة من الله والله عليم حكيم. That sadaqah or zakat is for fuqara. Now, fuqara are people who are in greater need than the masakin. So who can be the fuqara? Fuqara are people that those without any means of livelihood or material possessions. And if we look at this again, we go back to in the Rohingya Muslims, for example, they got kicked out of their home, they left everything behind. The earthquake, the disasters, human disasters, natural disasters, they have nothing. Literally, they have nothing. Okay, so these are considered as the fuqara, and they even don't even have a home. So this is the first category to save this human society, this Muslim community from being destroyed for not even having food, water, and so forth and so on. And as I mentioned last night, I've been to Japan. Japan, that area where that tsunami took place in 2011, was a very rich area. Rich. They had servants serving them at their table by morning. By evening, they were with a cardboard box, lining up and waiting for a piece of bread and 2 pieces of chicken. Subhanallah. You're homeless, you're helpless, you don't even have clothes. Everything destroyed. All you have is what is on you. And a cardboard box to when relief agency come to get your food. So you don't even know sometimes. That's why I say if you really go down one day and see what disaster looks like, this is rich people. Rich people. Some of their houses are so beautiful that if you had them here in New York, you have to pay money to go and see inside. Like they'll be like a replica, like a architectural monument. To how beautiful their houses are, but yet everything gone. So that's the fuqara. The masakin are those without sufficient means of livelihood to meet basic necessities with themselves or family. So, for example, although he may have a job, he may have a street job, or he carries out a cart or something. He might have a simple house, a simple car, but his income is so low, he has 5, 6 children, that he can barely make it. Like everything is on him. Electricity is coming after him. Water bill is coming after him. Obviously, you need a phone to survive in this environment. So you can give that. That is the masakin. Now, comes another question. Comes another question. We at Islamic centers, Islamic institutions, masajid, in Ramadan, people come with all kind of funny stories. I was talking to Brother Musa yesterday. They come with all kind of funny stories. And I have cases when I was in Chicago. One lady has 10 different names. Till we caught her, I said, I'm going to hand you over to FBI. Just how to scare her. Now, if you have 15 big centers and you have 10 different names, even if they give you $50 per name. Secondly, we decided, look, this monthly zakat is we need to check out. We checked out people's home and they have Mercedes car. You have a Toyota car paying your zakat and they have a Mercedes car in front of their house with zakat, collecting zakat. When I was the resident scholar there in Chicago, one of the largest masajid in Villa Park, many of you may know it, we have a policy, no begging in the premises or the parking lot of the masjid. If you want money, come in the office and we will arrange money. But you see, when you stand up, like some people stand up outside, money, money, every salat, money, money, money. Trust me, they will have money more than you and I at the end of Ramadan. But money, 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 give money. So I saw this lady and her daughter, and I said, sister, you're not supposed to be begging in the parking lot. Go in the masjid and they will take care of you. So you know who I was, I guess, because I don't know who she was. So they start to walk away quickly. So I'm walking behind them to tell them, go back. As I came out to the main road next to the masjid, I'm not joking. This is like Hollywood. If you see a Hollywood movie, how these people jump in car and slam the door and drive away, it is like that. By the time I go, they were talking on the phone. Somebody with a new car just came out from nowhere, speed, and stopped. And this door flip open and bam, they jump in, close the door, and they're gone before I could even see the car number. They're gone. And I said, SubhanAllah, what a sight for fuqara masakin. This is fuqara masakin. So there is a difference between need and greed, or the needy and the greedy. There's a difference. And our job is to avoid that kind of exploitation. You know why? Because every time we give somebody zakat who does not deserve it, you deprive from someone who needs it. Yeah. And yes. Masakin. So we come into that. Become who you cannot give. So what I'm saying to you, brothers and sisters, is that our job is to be very strict. And sometimes they tell you, well, why are you tough? This is zakat money. Yes, it is zakat money. But we have to, as a responsibility that we have when people give zakat to ICNA, Markaz, or to any one of us to distribute, even if somebody give money to me to distribute, I still have to make sure that as part of the amana of giving that zakat, I give it to the right person. Because every time you don't give, you deprive of the real person. Generally, poor people, humble people, they don't ask. I've seen that. It is the professional who comes the letter here and the letter there. Anytime you see that's professionalism, yeah. So we have to be careful that this is not to be exploited. The third category are those employed to manage the funds. So this can be a rich person. You can have the Mercedes car. You can have the Mercedes car. You can be employed in a system, in an organization, in a government system. I know at one time I was told by someone that Pakistan had at some point wanted to take out the zakat from the bank and something like that. And I think Zia,
It happened.
it happened.
It happened for a few years.
It happened for a few years, and I heard it went well, right?
In the beginning.
In the beginning, yes.
Only
Then
1 or 2 years.
yes, 1 or 2 years. So imagine, oh subhanallah, imagine a country like Pakistan did this national zakat collection, like they are the Khalifa of this wealth. If it was done properly, you know how much of the wealth will be protected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But sometimes every time people see money and corruption, like
Shaitan creeps in.
yeah, shaitan connects them quickly.
Regarding this number 3, those who employ money, is there any restriction in the Sharia? Say if $100 is collected, to what extent they can spend for management of the fund?
No, there is no restriction. Those who are employed by the state or organization, you employ them by the urf of your environment.
Say for example, ICNA is collecting Zakah.
Yeah.
And for ICNA, to what extent they can spend
From
out of this
the
fund?
extent in which America you pay for an accountant. There's no say, 2% or 1%.
Does it mean it is variable?
It is variable to your environment in which you live. So if you want to employ and you have people to employ, the problem is we feel that somebody should not be employed to run the zakat. We give it. No, it doesn't work like that. This is Allah's command. وَالْعَامِلِينَ عَلَيْهَا, those who manage this fund, Allah did not say, and everything goes on your urf in which you live. So if you have to pay for people who go and listen today, keep your question today, because we don't have much time left. Right? The fact our time is almost up. So if you have to collect zakat and you have to pay zakat collectors, because in the days, even in some places, you have to go to people's houses, people's areas to collect zakat. You have accountants who have to give a proper spreadsheet of what is collected, how it's spent, and so forth. You need office space because zakat is not always money. Zakat, people can also give food items, give this to the poor. You need distributors. So there is a long list of people. Some of these people can be wealthy people. Some of them are eligible to pay their zakat, but this is an income because they work in the industry of zakat. Zakat is supposed to be an industry. Yes, we do individual because we choose to do individual, but if it is collected in a a general way, I think it will be better managed. You see, people can come here, people can go to Jamaica Masjid, people can go there. We don't know because there is no coordination. And this is something I had called for when I was in Chicago, that why don't we have a zakat department in Chicago, that the masajid give their zakat there. We have these employers that will make sure that nobody comes to Masjid A, B, C, D, E and collect money across, and we don't know because they come with the same story and we don't have a way to call and find out. The only way, after we called this lady with 10 different names and we know she was in another area, I called that imam, a big sheikh in Chicago. I said, Sheikh, do you know this lady? The first thing what he said, that lady is a corrupt lady. Yes, so it means that they do this business, and so zakat it should be centralized. The fourth is to attract whose heart, mu'allafati qulubuhum, whose heart is attracted or inclined toward Islam. So those whose heart are inclined towards, or they have just accepted either new Muslims or they're about to become Muslim. So you can give them dawah package, you can give them a sajada, some date, some pamphlets, some books. Everything you put in that package is a cost. And so it is okay to take out zakat money for dawah purposes here, for new Muslims, or for people whose heart are inclined to Islam. To free captives. So free captives or slaves, by the way, we might think they are not slaves in this world. Do you know how many slaves are in this world right now? People who are under slavery, modern slavery, 40 million people. And these are the industries like pornography industries. Pay these people to do the garbage what they show and make billions of dollars from that slavery industry. So if we can help to release these people, recently I saw a documentary on people in Nigeria. They bring girls from Nigeria, Kenya to India, where there is a business group from Nigeria and Africa, and these girls become, whatever they become. And these men pay them to pay the pimps for them to, and it is so miserable that the BBC, this was actually on the BBC exposing. And my heart, like you can believe that these things exist. They exist. And so if, let's say a Muslim girl get caught up in that, yes, you can pay because they want to pay for release. Pay for the release, the bondage money. So the ransom money. So if you have to pay to release them. People who are held for a ransom, you can pay for that. People who are in prison unjustly. How many people are put into prisons in America and in an unjust way? Yes.
You said girls Muslim girls, but they have to be a Muslim girl? Or?
Yes, because our here it is to protect our Muslim community first and foremost. Okay. فقرائهم. Yeah, but that is after they believe in Allah, after they pray, after this and that and that. Those in debt. Now, this is a big issue here in America, and I just need to say a point of that. Zakat can be paid off on a poor person who borrows money for his basic need, basic necessity, so that he and she can live a normal life. Maybe they are not fuqara, but you borrow something for maybe you buy an equipment thinking you're going to make money, it flopped. Now the person wants back his money, you don't have money, and you don't have if you sell your things in your house, what do you get with your clothes and your food item? So such a person who is in that debt, you should give zakat to him. But the person who is rich, and he bought a house for $1.4 million, right? And he wants zakat money to pay off his debts. No, it doesn't work like that. Or you have a company, brother, I am in debt, I need some zakat to pay off. It is not for that person. It means that if you can liquefy your assets, you can have enough money to pay off your debt and still live a comfortable life. Then you should do that. Zakat is not for such a person. So it is not for rich people who have big loans. If that's the case, then all the poor people will pay zakat to rich people who have $1 billion debts for their company. Number 7, for Allah's cause. And this is another area that, modern interpretation. Zakat can be used to finance any form of struggle or work for the love of Allah, such as dawah, such as water wells for the poor, defending Muslims who are being oppressed, whatever it is to ila kalimatillah, for Allah's deen. To the earlier times, fi sabilillah meant to spend in weaponry for battle in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For today time, there is nothing like that. So we still want to allow Allah's deen to raise high, so we pay zakat for that. And for a wayfarer means someone who is cut off from his livelihood. And we have seen what happens in the pandemic. Okay, so you're a traveler, you get cut off from your resources. You're a rich country, a man in your country, you're very rich, but you're cut off. No money can come, no money can go. And you're stuck. A lot of people during the pandemic got stuck wherever they were. A lot of people got stuck, and you have to remain. Maybe you don't have money to, not that you don't have money in your country alone, but you don't have money where you are. So in that case, they can use zakat money to take care of you till time the borders were open, and a lot of people ended up in that situation. So those are the, or you lost your wallet on your journey, and you have nothing. You really don't have anything other than what was in your wallet. So again, people can pay you. Those who cannot take zakat, a man cannot give his wife zakat. Parents, you cannot give zakat. Grandparents, you cannot give. Children, grandchildren, you cannot give. Basically, those upon whom it is compulsory for a person to spend on, he cannot give zakat.
The wife can give zakat to
Yes, the wife can give zakat to a husband, which is kind of a little rare.
Right.
She controls the money anyhow. Sorry, sisters, I don't mean to pick at you. Zakat cannot be given to non-Muslims except for those whose heart are inclined to Islam, or if we are in this field of relief work. In relief work, and people are dying for food and water, you can give an animal, let alone a non-believer. But charity can be given to anybody. Charity can be given to any person. You can give any charity to anybody. Sadaqah, yes. And the rich, they have to pay up. The family of the Prophet ﷺ, this is one cannot receive zakat. Yeah. So the names of the Prophet ﷺ tribe are Banu Hashim and Banu Muttalib. They cannot get zakat. Now, it comes that there are a lot of people who call themselves Sayyid as descendants of the Prophet ﷺ. Some of you are Sayyids here. I'm sure you have a Sayyid or two. If it is verified that they are true descendants by way of scientific proof that they are the descendant of Bani Hashim or Bani Muttalib, then they cannot receive money as zakat. But if they are just names for the purpose of showing how elite I am, then that name does not prevent them from getting zakat. And I've known a lot of people, when you question them, where does this Sayyid come from? They can't go too far back. Oh, we came through Fatima's son. Okay, what is your line of evidence? But people like this name Sayyid. You know, you're Sayyid, you get first choice for marriage. Okay? Huh?
You're talking about Kamalbai?
Kamarbai is the Sayyid too? Sayyid Kamaruddin. He's already married. Yeah, so a lot of this Sayyid name comes for elite purposes. Yeah. So you give them sadaqah, not zakat. Yes. They cannot take zakat. They can take a gift. Yeah. So can you give zakat to other countries or must it be spent locally? And this is a discussion that we can have. The world has become a global village now. And so we can sit here right now and send money to Bangladesh, Pakistan, China, India, anywhere. Because we can see right now the need. You know, brothers sit here and they can monitor what goes on in the school in Pakistan or India. So you know at one go how important it is. Obviously, people around you that you see on a daily basis, it's good if you can help them. And not all money should go overseas, but you can also, I'm just going too quickly because we can zakat be given to educational institutions? Yes, if those educational institutions are poor. In fact, 2 days ago, a question came to the Fiqh Council. There are some masajid, they will be closed down because they don't have enough money to pay their land taxes, their water bill, this, that, and that. And they have an Islamic school, and the school also is about to close down because they don't have money to run it. Can zakat money be used for that? The answer is yes. Why? Because you look at the bigger maqsad or maqasid of Sharia. Now, what will happen if the masjid closed down and the school closed down in that place? And then the Christian church will come in and take over, then we will lament over that. This is what happened to Africa. The church went in with food and Bible and gun. Food, Bible, and gun. You see, they say food in the right hand and Bible in the left hand, but the barrel behind them. They forget that part of the equation. Huh? True, Brother Musa?
Sure, you're right.
They forget the barrel.
Yeah.
We only say the Bible, the food in the right hand, Bible in the left. No, the barrel behind them, because they massacre. And that barrel was not only to massacre, to loot the resources of Africa, to build their empires, and then they turned back and said, "You don't know how to run your country."
Mm.
Yeah, maybe if they get what you had, they will know how to get back what you took from them.
Right.
So this wealth is a very, very slippery slope. And we have to look at the bigger picture in the end. Not only these little tiny masai, these are bigger, long-term, for generations to come. You see, in my country, Brother Abdul Jabbar, Dr. Jabbar went to Guyana. One of the things that Islam survived in Guyana by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was masajid that were built. If you don't build masajid, I built to Colombia, where they did not build masajid. What they did, they went for business, they married into the Spanish community, most of their children became Spanish, drug trafficking and this and that. And so when we went, these people will call, you dress like this, and they will come out and they give you salam. The brothers who came from Middle Eastern countries, and they hug you up and they start crying. And they say, pray for them, their children, their wives are all Catholic and so forth and so on. And I said, what did you do? Then we realized that they did not even think about masjid. So masjid is the symbol of a place where your spiritual needs can be fulfilled. This iqamat salat is done here. And if you have 200 masjid in a small country, somehow, someday, righteous people will come and run these masajid. And so you will find that these masjid with the minaret become the symbol of our Islamic society. And if we start give fatwa, no, don't, then we will be helping to eliminate, because next thing it's sold from that city. If they're a poor city, then they might also go into drugs and this and that, and the other harm that goes with inner cities with crimes. We cannot afford to do that. And so we have to open our thoughts a little more, and we talk about some of these things. So inshallah, I hope that this zakat is a big topic, and it is good that we understand some of the details. The most important thing we can say for ourselves, first and foremost, we can tell somebody, yes, that there is this thing about zakat and so forth. Whatever you remember here, you will remember basic things here. And it is important that you also save your family, save your children, save your brothers, sisters. Instead of talking about Pakistani politics and Indian politics and cricket and sports and this and that, we can also take a session off to talk about our zakat. Once a brother asked me, Sheikh, my brother called me and said, Eid is tomorrow. Why don't we have Eid tomorrow? I said, did you ask him if he paid his zakat? He looked at me as if I'm man. I said, did you eat salah? According to Hanafi is wajib, according to the rest of the scholars is sunnah mu'akkada. It's a sunnah. But zakat is a pillar of Islam. Did you ask it, did you pay your zakat this Ramadan? Yes, brother.
We have some time for asking question, or I can ask you now.
If you want, it's 3:16 now, and
Okay,
go ahead.
Back to the point, combined cash for zakat, including jewelries, 401k, bank accounts, and cash money. If I combine all of them, should I deduct my loan amount? I know, may God save us from the interest, but even though I have the home loans.
For the year, deduct what you're going to pay for the next year.
Oh, for
the next coming year.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
My question is, who gonna pay like jewelry? Like let's say my wife has jewelry, but she's unable to pay. So is husband gonna pay, or?
Yeah, you should fulfill her responsibility, or take out piece of her jewelry and pay for that.
Or like sell this and then
yes,
pay for?
yes,
Okay.
Yeah. But you will fight. You will get a fight over it.
Right.
But it's worth the fight. Because it's better to fight with her than to fight with Allah.
Make them understand.
Yes, just that.
So you mentioned that when you lend them money and you have money back, you have to pay the zakat. My question is that sometimes we lend money to someone for a period, like my friend's son's education. So I paid him $5,000 and he promised he will return 3 years.
Yes.
So
So when you get that money, because you have a time period. Yes.
My question is, zakat is to me an instrument to establish a social welfare society.
Yes.
And over the last 1500 years, we are talking and we are preaching zakat. In spite of that, why we cannot establish zakat like taxes to establish a social welfare society?
Yeah. So zakat is two things. It's not only a social welfare, it's to eradicate poverty,
Right.
not to increase poverty.
Right.
And I think we have over the years feel that zakat is to yes. Okay, just a minute. Yeah, so zakat is not only to help poor, but to eradicate poverty. So you can actually make it a system where poor people can be given an amount of money to start a little business. This man in Bangladesh, he got a Nobel Peace Prize for doing just that, right? For little businesses. And that can because that is what we actually should use that as a priority. To help Fuqara and Masakin, we can help a lot of these Fuqara and Masakin. A bicycle, just buying a bicycle for somebody in some country is a livelihood for him.
If you allow me to speak, you see, I work with microfinance by zakat. I have a start. I have prepared a thesis. However, see, if you can go for microfinance by zakat, then eradication of poverty is possible. But you made a reference of, Gramin, that, Dr. Yunus one. So that is a basic difference. Basic difference is there. In case of, microfinance, what is going on throughout the world, microfinance asks for huge amount of interest in the microfinance system. And regarding microfinance by zakat, the study which I made, that is very, very effective. The reason zakat shift the ownership of property from rich to poor. But the microfinance which is going on throughout the world, they don't shift, property from rich to poor, rather allow property as loan.
Yes.
So in
So
my
here's
observation,
the-
however, sorry,
so-
I'm ending up. In my observation, the way we are working with zakat throughout the world, Muslim community hardly can eliminate the poverty of Muslim world.
We are
And
not
we
saying
can-
there is a flaw there.
Yeah, yeah.
Because what I'm saying is that use zakat money
Yeah.
not to build interest, but to give to those people who can generate income.
Yeah, exactly.
Zakat without interest.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you have that without interest, subhanAllah, how interest is so. Yeah, I think it blank off. It blank off now. Yes. The sister, the phone, I got that. I will ask.
I have a question about the RSU stock. So in our company, they give you a certain amount of stock that is going to be vested upon you over certain years.
Yeah.
So how does that? Let's say I'm going to get like around 2K of $2,000 worth of stock this year.
Yeah, but I'll come back to you. Let this sister phone. If someone gets a chance to repay a loan in the month of Ramadan, then who will give the zakat of this money? The donor or the recipient? So if you have a loan, it means it's not. If you have to give back a loan, it's not your money. It's not your money. So it's the one who gets receive that loan back. That's their wealth. They have to add. How long will I have to pay zakat if I have money? If you have money, then every year to year. So if one Ramadan you are at the nisab, and during the year it fluctuates, the next Ramadan you have nisab, then pay your zakat on whatever you have. Okay? That's the easiest way to calculate zakat because you are not an accountant to know.
But also that if I take out the zakat, I cannot hold it for 2 years to pay.
Yes, and you have to pay within that year
Yeah.
before the other year is up. I'm not able to pay rent due to the case regarding my apartment. I have to pay the amount deposited in it anytime. In this case, does it fall under my loan? If so, how I can adjust the zakat collection? I'm not able to pay the rent due to the case regarding my apartment. Okay, so I have to pay the amount deposited in it.
I think it's like, for example, my rent is, what I understand from the person, is $40,000. So I deposit $1,000, I'm paying $2,000 every month in the rent. Would I have to pay zakat on the $40,000?
No, because for the year, that is not your money now.
No, exactly.
That is for the rent. Yes.
Cases that probably they have a court case, housing court case,
Still not,
and they probably depositing money in the court.
still not their money.
No,
Yes.
no, but I'm just explaining.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, I think
So it's until the money is cleared to know whose wealth it is, inshallah. So coming back to the young man's question.
Brother, my last
No. Hold on. Maybe you
Let's
are
answer it.
in the world of zakat. We have to get people. Yes. Your options have been taken up. Yeah, I will come back to you. Yes. Yes. Yes.
So it's the restricted stock unit that company gives
Yes. The company gives you X amount of stocks every year.
every year. Yeah. So it increases over time, but they have a set amount of, let's say, 40K or 60K of stock
Yes.
that they are going to eventually give, but every year they give certain amount of stock.
Stock per year.
So how am I going to count my zakah on that?
Yes. So do you have access to those stocks on a yearly basis? Can you take out those stocks?
No, I have to work for 1 year to get like certain amount of.
Yes. At the end of that year.
Yeah.
At the end of that year, do you have the ability to take out those stocks?
Yeah.
Okay. So whatever those stocks worth at the end of that year, you pay zakat.
Okay. And like let's say I start like we give bonus, right? I started my work last October. They gave like some kind of bonus, and like those are in my checking account, and like is my Jaka is going to count when a year passed of my job, and then those bonuses like 1 year staying in my account. And then,
Did the Ramadan, let's say we have to have a starting point.
yeah.
So if from that starting point to the next year, if that is in your account and you had your zakat nisab the year before, and you have this bonus put in, and now this Ramadan comes, for example, then you have to pay zakat on that bonus because it's part of your wealth.
One last question. That's about the checking account. Let's say my checking account goes from 1500 to zero sometimes,
And then it raises back. So that's the fluctuation we are talking about.
yeah.
So during the year, it might fluctuate, but you have to have a point where you begin to check where it begins. Ramadan is the easiest point, but if say in Rajab or Shawwal or Dhul Hijjah is your starting point, from starting point to starting point, that's where your zakat must be.
So let's say in my last Ramadan it was like 200, and right now it's like 400 or 500. So
$500.
Yeah.
So then you're not eligible for zakat. Let's use the zakat figure.
No, let's see 20,000. It was 20,000 last year. Now this Ramadan is $40,000. I earn almost 60, and it's already spent during that time.
Yeah.
So he's asking about the starting balance and ending balance.
Yes. So it's your beginning balance, your ending balance, and during that time it can fluctuate to zero, and it can come up back. So once you have at what point from one Ramadan, that's what the easiest way is to take from Ramadan to Ramadan. So if you have nisab last year Ramadan and it fluctuates, and this year Ramadan you have nisab, you pay your zakat. This year Ramadan you don't have nisab. So it means that you now have to check your nisab because you don't have nisab this year Ramadan. So when would you have that nisab as your saving? You're saving, not your monthly income. So it is at that point you will have to start back again. But for most people, Ramadan to Ramadan, nisab to nisab, you will go through along with the fluctuations that go in between.
Yes. Because the brother was asking, the stocks is getting at the end of the year, right? But his ownership starts from there. So it has to go 1 more year to pay.
Yeah, but we do not take stocks in isolation. Okay? Stocks are added to our wealth.
Right. That's
so
what I'm saying.
If,
suppose he has 1 stock.
If you only have stocks, then you start from there. You only start from that point.
Okay.
So it means our wealth, we have to have good, yes, we have to have good calculation as to when, how our wealth is coming and going. Yes, Brother Tariq.
Say like we did our taxes at the end of the year and it's coming to Ramadan and we put it in there, whatever return, we're gonna add it to the pay the zakat on that.
If you get the return, because not always you get your return the way you put it. I know sometimes the accountant put you're gonna get $3,000 refund. IRS says you have to pay $2,000 more. So there is no guarantee you get that. But if you get it back before, then yes, it's added to your account.
So you have a year to pay, right? So that's the money that you just earned, right?
Yes, so you have to wait for the lunar year to
be over.
To be over, yes.
What is halal stock?
Halal stock means that they invest in companies like computer, cars, technology, not alcohol and beer or cigarettes. Yes. So I'm coming back to you. Don't judge me. Yes.
401k, buy a house, all money goes to the formula.
So buying house, you have a 30-year, whatever it is. You only take out for what you have to pay for that coming year. You see, a lot of people dodge, as I say, people dodge zakat in very different ways. If you buy a house and you have to wait 10 years to pay off that loan, 20 years, 30 years, some people say, oh, I have debt. I can't. I don't have. But they have a lot of saving that they can go to all over this world with their family on vacation. But when it comes to zakat, oh, I have debt. No. Whatever you pay for that year, you take out from that, and the rest of your savings you pay zakat on that. Yeah.
Right? Companies that have a debt structure, right? Are they investable? Are there a certain percentage of the company that have a certain amount of debt? Okay.
You have to check with that company.
Just asking in general, right? The company runs on a debt structure, right? And are we okay to invest in that company? So,
I have no idea about that. There is a Mana Trust Fund. And Mana Trust Fund has very good Sharia board scholars that will guide you through that. Yeah. Yes. So you will see if it reaches the sub 30 grams.
30 grams. About 30.
Yeah. So 30 grams is not within that for that goal alone. If that's all the money she owes, all the wealth she owes is that 30 grams of gold. It's 85 grams is the sub. No. 85 grams is the nisab, the threshold. Yes. So if she falls 30 grams, it means she's way below that zakat. But does she have other wealth?
Yes.
If she has other wealth, then this has to be added to that. 0.025. Add all together 0.025. Yes, her cash, this, that, her goal, and multiply that by 0.025, and that's her zakat. Yes. That is the minimum amount that you have, adding all your wealth together. That's the minimum you're supposed to have. Yes, you don't have to pay that. Adding all your wealth together, all. Yeah. They normally the gold market set the standard price, so they set it at 5, as Dr. Abdul Jabbar said, 5440, $5,440. That's the no. Then no. Use the standard gold value. Standard gold market. If you agree on 5 years. So after 1 year, you can pay. The first year you pay, and you ask him, tell him that I pay zakat on the money that you owe me, because if you feel that you can get your money from him anytime, then you pay zakat. If you cannot get your money on him on any time, then you wait until you get your money. So you have to decide. I can't go into your agreement. No, just for that when you receive the money. The time period is 5 years. That's what I'm saying. Do you feel that you can get your money? You can call him now and get your money, for example. Do you feel that you can do that? Yes or no? So if you feel you can get your money at any time, he's just saving that money there that you didn't need. But if you say, give me my money tomorrow, he can go and write a check and give you your money. You have to pay zakat on that every year. Every year. But if you feel you're not going to get back your money, or you have a time period and wait till that time period to receive your money, then you pay on that at that time. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter 5 year, 4 year. But if you feel the overriding thing here, if you feel you can get your money at any time from him, then you must pay your zakat on a yearly basis. So long as they are struggling, struggling with your bills, struggling with that, and then the better thing from most of the scholarly opinion, you pay directly to the company that they own, like their light bill or their electricity bill, their water bill, land tax, for example. If you feel that they're confident that this is that they are unable to pay for their means, then do that. Yes, that's we
Okay.
had this brother waiting
All right.
for a long time.
Go ahead, go ahead.
But my observation regarding, expenditure for that zakat management. In a nutshell, I had, because of my nature of work, I had to review the activities of non-profit organizations here in Edo. I found the founder took $100,000, then as salary and other they took say 70-80%. They distributed food and other things, take photograph, and then ended up the game.
Very true.
Yeah, and so
Very
therefore,
true.
regarding, expenditure for zakat management, either that this is a lawful, or since you are doing this, I appreciate, there must be a restriction or limit.
Yes.
Otherwise, in the name
You're
of
right.
zakat,
I'm with you. I'm 100%
Yeah.
with you. Because zakat should not be exploited.
yeah.
It should not be exploited. You cannot have 300,000 in zakat money and 100,000 for salary.
Salary himself,
No.
in New York, I came across many non-profit organizations, those who took fund from the estate. And
Yeah.
out of 100,000, they took salary in other as 70-80,000 and photograph, then report done.
Yes, we have got a number of people. I can tell you that for sure. And remember, at one point I said there should be no exploitation on the bottom. Final question.
Okay.
I have one question.
Okay. After him, you. That's it.
Okay. Now, go ahead. Suppose we need 5 pairs of shoes.
Yeah.
I have 50 pairs. My wife has 100 pairs.
Yes.
And 100 sets of dresses. What should we have to pay zakah on that?
No, so long as you don't sell them. Only Princess Diana sell her dresses for 2 million, 3 million.
But
if your wife sells her
sell-
dresses, you sell your coat, nobody buys them. Yes.
I just have a quick question. Suppose if I pay like this year zakat and I have like long time loan or debt, so what year I should count for debt, for next year or this like same year?
For the coming year.
Coming year.
Yes.
Maybe next year.
Because it means that you need this money
Okay.
to pay for your loan for this year.
So not this current year, the next
So
year.
yes, for
Okay.
the 2023 to 2024. Because you already took out 2022, 2023.
So let's say like I have in bank account maybe like 20,000,
Yes.
and I have debt like 24,000. So I don't have to pay them, right? Like
So if you
4,000 I
have,
owe.
yes, if you have, and you have to pay that 24,000 this
First,
coming year.
Right.
It means that your debt is more than what you
Right.
have. So that amount in your bank is actually to pay off this loan that you have for 24,000.
So I don't have to pay them.
No.
But
But
remember,
you can give sadaqah. You can give sadaqah.
but remember, your amount should be combined. Your all assets.
Yes, all assets should be combined. And by the way, if you think about 20,000, how much money you think you're going to pay for that 20,000?
Or like for zakat,
Yes.
it's very less, like 2.5.
And how much that will be for the 20,000? $500.
$5,000, yeah. Right.
So for $500, even if you were to pay it for the pleasure of Allah,
Right.
Sadaqah.
Or just saying that, you know what, I have this 20,000, I'm going to pay. You know what, Allah gives you 101 day before the year is
I got
up.
you.
So don't play with Allah's. No, international. That's where they take it from, which is London gold market. Yes.
Thank you very much, Jazakallah khair. You have done an excellent job, mashallah. This subject of zakat is very broad and extensive and expansive, mashallah. And people have written encyclopedia. And it is encyclopedia Mawsu'at al-Zakat by Yusuf Qardawi, and one sheikh from Syria has written a volume on it, big volume, 700, Al-Fiqh al-Islami wa Adillatuhu, what was his name? So the big work has been done. People have done volumes also. This scholar has done in 2 volumes. But Sheikh has summarized it in 2 hours. MashaAllah, great job.
Alhamdulillah.
And, thank you
Thank you very much for your sharing your knowledge.
And I'm representing you. I'm doing this.
Okay.
So on behalf of all of you,
Okay, all right.
I'm grateful to Sheikh and pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give him good health, inshallah, and rehabilitation, and give him energy, inshallah, and give us tawfiq to invite him next year also. And
part 2.
Inshallah.
Zakat part 2, inshallah, we will be having once again. And if you have any question, inshallah, if there are some other minor questions, can be directed to me, inshallah. These are not so difficult. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. جزاك الله خير.